Hello, and welcome to the first course on how to use public domain for profits. In this course, you will learn what public domain is all about and how you can convert these untapped gold mines for massive profits. In case you have never heard of the public domain, you are definitely in for a real treat here. In simple words, public domain is any work which is not copyright protected, and you can use those works for your personal and even commercial use without the creator's permission. When the copyright protection of a work expired, or the product is not eligible for copyright protection, you can consider it as a public domain. You can consider it as an intellectual property that is not owned or controlled by anyone. Any work which was created before the Copyright Act belonged to public domain. Some of public domain examples include the Bible and the ancient Greek text. Many reports under the government in many countries are also public domains. These types of intellectual property, such as surveys and reports, can be used for personal or commercial usage. Now you might wonder, how can you utilize public domains to your benefit? In answer to that question, you can consider a few important points such as, it can help broaden your knowledge, it can help you with ideas and information, easy access to cultural heritage such as ancient scripts or even Beethoven symphonies, and last but not least, you can even use them for commercial gains by repurposing the content for profits. So finally, if you accumulate all those above mentioned points, then you can say that public domain is free from any copyright, trademark, or patent law. The work is either not eligible for copyright, such as work created before copyright law, or the copyright expired. Therefore, you can distribute those works for your personal or commercial purpose. Before you take just any content for your own usage, you need to determine if that piece of work is public domain or not. To do so, you need to abide by the following. If a work created by an individual, then it will be considered as public domain from 1st of January after 70 years of his or her death. If the work is a result of a joint effort of two individuals, then it will come under public domain from 1st of January after 70 years of last surviving creator's death. In case of collective work or hired work, it will enter into public domain on 1st of January after 95 years since the first publication date, or after 120 years of creation, whichever will come earlier will be considered. Hence, you will notice that eventually, after a certain period of time, all the work will be considered as public domain, as the law does not protect any creation forever. Only because something is very old does not make it part of public domain. Suppose any book published within the United States before 1923 is also in public domain. Moreover, almost any book published within the United States between 1923 and 1963 also falls in the public domain if copyright was not renewed within 28 years after the date of publication of the book. Therefore, if the content is old, we must check that the copyrights have not been renewed. Most of the US government printing office publications are in the public domain because these types of publications are funded by US taxpayer money, so we all own them, and as long as there is no copyright notice on it, you can reprint them and sell them. Any changes or alterations made in a public domain work can become the creation of the person responsible. Therefore, it can't be protected by copyright. In case of work that was produced outside the United States, then the copyright rule will be affected according to the country of origin. So it is very important to check the publishing country. Hence, when verifying if the work is public domain, you must confirm with the Copyright Office of the respective country of origin. So to summarize, here are the list of things you need to check to find out if the work is public domain and if it can be used for your personal or commercial usage. Check if the copyrights of the content expired. Check when was the death of the author. Check if the author is no longer the legal rights owner of the content. Check if the author did not renew the copyrights after its expiry date. Check if the work was created before the copyrights rule was implemented. Lastly, always make sure you put in extra effort and precaution before considering a work as public domain. Many great works in the world come under public domain. Paintings of the Picasso, lyrics of the Mozart, and even literatures of the Shakespeare considered as public domain. It might be tough to find a real good work in public domain, which can help you to set up a business, but it is harder to find more. If it's harder to find, more valuable it can be. Finally, Take note that not every freely accessible content or work on the internet can be considered as public domain. As often people consider shareware as public domain, in fact, it might be shared under condition or just for sample use. So make sure you do your due diligent research and follow the steps taught in this module to find your public domain treasures. Once you do, you'll be in for a real treat.